Good evening. Welcome to the Steel City Huddle podcast. I'm Leanne Lohman, joined as always by my partner, Zach Franciscus. Zach, we are coming in. It is Victory Tuesday after a huge Week 11 win over the Cincinnati Bengals. The final score ended up being 34-12. And I think, okay, so if you woke up on Monday morning and let's say you've been in a coma on Sunday and you missed everything about that game, you got no updates, no information, and you woke up and your phone said the Steelers won by, won 34-12, and then you went back and watched that game, do you feel like that game matched up with the score? Because I was surprised by fans' reactions to this win.
I thought it was great. It was everything we've been asking from the team. People have been whining about the defense and all this, and the defense shows up big. But the best thing about this fan base is you'll always find something to complain about, no matter what kind of win it is.
Yeah, fair enough. I was surprised by how many people, even some, I won't name anybody, but even some local media people felt like, this game, the score did not do justice for the game we had. But, in my feeling, and we'll break it down and talk about everybody a little bit individually, is that I don't know, you don't get very many games in the season. I don't care what team you are, where everybody on your team has like a 5-star game or an A+ game or a perfect game, right? And so to me, really good football is times where the other people are able to step up in a big way and make that win happen. And I felt like this game was full of that, right? Like we lost Aaron Rodgers. Mason came in and managed to close out that game strong and win. We lost Jaylen Warren. They didn't need to put him in because Kenneth Gainwell was having such a good game. I just felt like that this was a game where everybody kind of did their part. And I thought that it was a really solid win. Relic's not tolerating any Mason slander on this show today. He did play well enough to close out the game. We did play angry defense. I think we played some damn angry offense, and it was really good stuff to watch.
It was, and it was. I'm calling it kind of a checkmark game. If we think we're a team that's supposed to win a playoff game, then you go into a game against a team like this with an older quarterback and you beat them up. That's what you're supposed to do. So maybe a lot of people aren't impressed by that, but considering the Steelers teams of the past and all that, I'm impressed by us going into a place and taking care of business and beating a team the way we're supposed to. It's always frustrating me so much that we could never be like these other teams. When they go into a bad team's place, they can just handle business. And we did, and that's more than enough for me.
Yeah. And I'll admit that, I think that the game it definitely felt stressful. I don't think you started out the game feeling like the Steelers were running away with it. For a long time, I felt like, oh, they have a chance to come back. Do you know what I mean? They could come back. And, it obviously grew, the score grew at the end, and that helped that feeling, at the end. But I get why people never relax, right? It's hard to relax when the Steelers are playing because there's so many times that we're winning by 21 points or something, and then all of a sudden we fritter away the win and lose the game in the final minutes because we play prevent defense or our offense takes their foot off the gas or all of those things. So Nathan says, with how well James Pierre is playing with him, JPJ, Asante, and Eccles may allow Duggar and Ramsey to play free. And I think we'll talk about that a little bit more when we get to the defense. But yeah, another big game.
It was a depth piece and using personnel correctly for the first time in a while. There were still some weird calls where I'm like, I'm not sure why we did that, but I think we're starting to understand what we have in Darnell Washington. We'll get to all of that later, but my goodness gracious, him and Ward. I like that you said angry because that's how we really did. We played like a team that knew that the loss the week before was not okay.
Right. It did feel that way. And to me, that's the kind of thing that you needed to show, not just the loss the week before, but also the previous loss to the Bengals, right? To come back against this same team. You're not playing Joe Burrow, you're playing Joe Flacco again. And to be able to say that was a fluke, we can handle business after all. Here we are. So let's just jump right into it because I want to leave time to talk about the Bears. So if you could give one game ball out, who's your game ball going to?
I haven't seen a safety make a splash play like that since Minka. That that was it was shades of Minka in the Cincy game, or I think it was the San Francisco game, whichever game he started out like balling out. But there was so many that would go. The defensive line quietly took care of business. The entire defense would get a game ball, but Duggar, this is only his second game with us, and maybe a week and a half of practice with us, and he's already feeling comfortable enough to make the little adjustments that he had to on that play. Because I watched him multiple times. He watched where Joe Flacco was, and he just hid behind offensive lineman. It was a beautiful play, and you only make that if you're comfortable in the situation you're in. So while we might not be great at progressing players, apparently we're good at getting people caught up for the moving train.
Yeah. I mean, I thought he did, and maybe some of it is that he just fits in so well. Maybe some of it is this idea that they've talked about simplifying this defense to make it better for everybody. Maybe that helped him get on the moving train a little better, whatever it was. But yeah, that was huge. I think we talk about offense a little bit. You can't negate how huge it is when Darnell Washington is having a big game like that. You mentioned him a minute ago. Nathan says a game made him realize that when we play well, when Washington's going, the team plays well off his physicality. And man, you saw it. Like, I don't know the guy you saw it today or the people watching saw it, but Kyle Brandt today, does his angry run segment on Tuesday, right? And he usually, you see Najee Harris would get one, Jaylen Warren would get one, somebody would get one, and then two other running backs or players from other teams, usually they're running backs, would get an angry one nomination, and then he'd give out the award, he gives out the scepter. All three today went to Darnell Washington. All three. I mean, unbelievable. He was so hyped. The T-shirt's out. The scepter's on its way to Pittsburgh. We have a video clip of Darnell's run. I think we got to show this.
Jones, the block at the left tackle. The muscular tight end Washington. Running left shot. Bulldozing. Plowing. Wow. Catch and run. 31.
Unbelievable. He hits that one guy in the face, like his face goes, and I mean, it's just like old school smash mouth. Like, you just love it. Like, you love to see it. You love to see him get going. We talked about this early in the season that Aaron Rodgers kept saying he feels like he has this connection with Washington. And I feel like we're, might be week 11, but I feel like we've seen that grow throughout this season, and it's huge, you know. And even Mike Tomlin made a comment in his press conference. They asked him something about is Darnell Washington getting better as the season goes on? And he feels like we're getting better at understanding him and utilizing him. Like, this is what we saw from him in Georgia, and the Steelers offense is figuring out how to make it work.
Exactly. And by the way, did you know Darnell Washington has bad knees? So we're supposed to stay away from him. Just so everyone knows, just be careful, because he can't jump over people. He has bad knees.
Bad knees.
He's hurdling people.
Right. Unbelievable. Nobody that big should be able to move like that. What did he run, like a 4.7 or 4.6 or something?
4.6. 4.6.
So fast for somebody that big. Unbelievable.
It's unfair. And it's one of those things where our scouting department said, ignore everything that people are saying about the negatives. We have to have him on this football team. And you're starting to see that while certain people that fit that mold that we've drafted might not make immediate contributions, we got them for a reason. Like guys like Jack Sawyer are already making a contribution. Will Howard, there's overreactions to it, but my goodness. And you have to be a special guy for a fan base to literally go wild when you're just opened up for the window for IR. Yeah.
Chris Carter said this about Darnell Washington. He said it was more than just his rampage of a run that bulldozed three Bengals defenders for 31 yards. He was a force all game. When he blocked for the run, he destroyed defenders in their gaps. On a 3rd and 17, Washington fought tooth and nail to gain all 17 yards and keep alive a drive. The Steelers ended with the field goal and took almost 8 minutes of game time. He led the Steelers tight ends in snaps Sunday and might now be the team's #1 tight end.
And I got to say, that's earned, because when this season started, it was, okay, he is wide receiver 3. Let's see, our tight end 3. Let's see. I agree. I agree. He can do things that Pat Fryermuth and Jonnu Smith can't do on their best days
Right.
when it comes to blocking. I'm
We
fine with
talked
that.
about him.
As long as he keeps doing that.
Right. We talked about him maybe being used for some special stuff and things like that, but he might be the special stuff, right? Like just unbelievable how well he played. I also think we really have to talk about Kenneth Gainwell because, Jalen Warren has been quietly having a solid season, right? So to see him go out with an injury, you're thinking, oh man, we're screwed. And to see Gainwell step up in the way he did was just unbelievable. I mean, I think it got a little bit overshadowed by Darnell's that unbelievable run, right? Is just crazy. But I don't think we can take away from what a good game Gainwell had.
Exactly. It's all these players and plays are giving me nostalgia because I'm thinking back to guys like D'Angelo Williams who would come in, fill in wonderfully when they had to, and then take a step back when they needed to. And Kenneth Gainwell, my goodness gracious. And him and Darnell Washington have this like telepathy thing going on where they know where to go and where to follow, and that's earned. You really earned that. So I'm very happy about the depth that this team showed on offense. I didn't think that we were going to not miss a beat with everything that happened. That's very encouraging.
Yeah. I thought that the offensive line, I don't know that I thought there was anything that was like crazy exceptional there, but I felt like they played a really solid, consistent game. And considering some of the stumbles we've seen from them earlier this season, it felt good to at least feel like, okay, we're playing a solid, consistent game there.
It was weirdly enough, this is kind of a continuation from the game Rodgers had last week, but we didn't pay for it as much because the offensive line did give him several very clean pockets, and Rodgers got happy feet and rolled out of them. Yeah. And I don't understand that. So I'm all for Rudolph coming in this week because I think maybe we need Rodgers to take a breath and take a step back because maybe the hits he's taken throughout the season and the iffiness of the offensive line, maybe there's some doubts in his head and he's seeing ghosts because he was reacting to things that were not there.
Yeah.
And he can't be doing that. We don't have that kind of margin for error.
Yeah. Yeah. Nathan brings up, he said, question, what are your thoughts on Rodgers not taking advantage of the 3 seconds in the pocket? That's a long time in the NFL. That kind of piggybacks right off of what you were just saying. Relic adds that Rodgers doesn't want to get hit. He's lost faith in the O-line. I mean, at some point, look, the O-line may not be playing their best football of their careers, but to me, they're playing more solid, consistent football. We've got guys like Darnell Washington out there blocking. We've got good things going on, right? So at what point does he start to trust him again, or is it too late?
Well, I think it's a little bit more about understanding where he is as a quarterback because Aaron Rodgers from 10 years ago, all those throws would have been touchdowns. He would have been able to roll out faster, and something inside him still thinks he can do exactly that. Now, granted, did he run for a first down? Yeah. But the last 3 times I've seen him try to make long throws while rolling out, he's missed badly. And so there's certain things about that I think there's some cognitive dissonance going on between who Aaron Rodgers is and who he thinks he is. And he needs to figure that out quickly. We don't have a lot of games for him to figure that out.
Yeah. And then, we're on the back half of the season now. So you got to, really figure that out and establish that with the rest of the offense prior to the postseason, hoping, knock on wood that we make it there. And then also, prior to making a decision about what you're doing, for next season, are you coming back or not? And what do you think you can, do and handle and all of those things? Do you know what I mean? So Nathan also asked if you saw the film from this week, but Roman Wilson may be somebody worth targeting more. He creates space and can help us move the ball more. He's shown some flashes. What do you think about that? Is he somebody they should be looking at a little more? Why do you think they are?
Well, this particular week was the first week I think it's starting to click for him, where he was able to make separation. And unfortunately, it coincided with the week that Aaron Rodgers had happy feet and was rolling in the wrong direction. So he was open, but not seeing him, or seeing him and then doubting the throw or something. There was something going on with that. So that's a great find by Nathan, because Tommy Jaggy was talking about that. Derek B was talking about that on Twitter. Anyone who watched film was saying, hey, look at Roman Wilson. He might not have gotten the stat line, but he easily could have.
But he had that big, was it like a 17-yard catch? So, I mean, he had some impact on that game. And so it may not be all Jamar Chase stats, but sometimes the most important thing is being there when you need to be there to make those big plays, right? So some of that to me, I think we definitely saw some of those things. I want to talk about Jaylen Warren. He had a big run. I think you have a video of that, right?
I do, so we can.
Couple games coming off the bye, pitch out, 2nd and 7. Warren scores 3, cuts into the secondary, and now it's a foot race. Can they stop him there? A hit by Turner, can't bring him down.
I don't know what that leap in the air with his foot was. I thought he was trying to like karate kick the guy in the face is what it looked like for a second.
I know.
That was unbelievable.
It was like some weird Antonio Brown punter throwback. I think, honestly, I don't think he'll ever fully admit it, or maybe he will. Jaylen Warren's a humble guy, but I think he mistimed a hurdle and was trying to make up for in midair, which, by the way, for him to mistime a hurdle and not go down, that alone's impressive. But my goodness gracious, Jaylen Warren is really stepping up. And I love every second of it, because he's making the offensive line look like they can run block better than they can.
Yeah. That Relic said the same thing. It brought me flashbacks of AB trying to kick the punter. Yeah, it's exactly what it felt like. It was wild. I don't know what he was doing there, but I'm here for all of it. And I have to say, like, if I had to say on the show earlier this season that, maybe I was a little bit wrong about Aaron Rodgers, and maybe I was a little bit wrong about Jaylen Warren. Maybe he can do this a little better than I thought he could. You know what I mean? I thought he would be a guy that really was very dependent on having that other running back there, being RB2, do you know what I mean? Or RB 1.5 or 1 square or whatever you call it. And to me, he's really shown that he can be that guy.
Exactly. And for anyone who was, suddenly jump and say, well, he's injured again. This is not a wear and tear. We ran him too much injury. This is he happened to bend the wrong way at the wrong time injury. This is not that kind of a situation. So I'm not, and he seemed to fix his fumble problems. I can't remember the last time he actually fumbled the football, which is really good to say. So if he's cleaning that up and he can continue to stay on the field, and he has apparently, if it was like a playoff game or something, he could have come back in, but we had Gainwell. So they were like, listen, Jaylen, you're good. And that's something that is rare. So, yeah, I appreciate that.
I thought it was rare that Tomlin didn't put him back in the game. Do you know what I mean? Because he said, well, whatever he said about, like, we decided to go with the hot hand or whatever, and Gainwell was having a good game, so we figured, you might as well let Warren rest. But to me, Tomlin's typical MO would be like, my game plan was X, and so if you can go on the field, we're going to put you back on the field if you're not too injured, right? So I was kind of surprised that he took that stance of, allowing him to rest. It wasn't like we were up by 40 points, but Gainwell was on fire, so we clearly made the right decision.
It was. And before we move away from offense, I want to pivot really quick, because it's hard to talk about the offense without hearing residually the echoes of people saying, because of the game that Pickens had and the Cowboys had, that we made a mistake trading George Pickens. And the very first thing I thought was, right now in this particular offense, the thing that is being asked of DK Metcalf more often than anything is take the double team, run, and just pull them off. Can you imagine if we told George Pickens every week, 60% of this is going to be you running, you're not going to get the ball, and telling you how, he would throw a conniption fit. He would. So there's a level of people who kind of show themselves when they make those comments about Pickens and saying he would do better here. They don't understand the Steelers offense. They don't understand what's being asked. And they didn't watch what, because I played last week when Relic was on the video of Metcalf saying, everyone here has earned the right to get their targets. And I wanted to stand up and cheer for that, because if you don't understand the difference between having that in a locker room, having George Pickens in a locker room, you don't understand what it takes to build a real team. So I could not get through tonight without bringing that up.
Yeah. I'm glad you said something, because I said to somebody on Twitter earlier today, and I said this when we very first let Pickens go, what was that just because a player isn't a good fit on a team doesn't mean that the player is a bad player, right? Like, look at Baker Mayfield. He's having this renaissance period in Tampa Bay, right? This isn't what we saw from him in Cleveland. This isn't what we saw from him when he was in like Carolina or wherever he was for a week. So to me, I think it's a different mindset in Dallas. It's a different offense in Dallas. Dak Prescott is a different quarterback. All of those things are different. It doesn't make Dallas better. It doesn't make us worse. It doesn't make Pickens better or Metcalf worse. It's just a difference. Do you know what I mean? And I think he's a selfish player. And so when the time comes and something changes and Pickens isn't afforded the opportunity to be selfish, I think he's going to show his ass in Dallas just like he did in Pittsburgh. I don't think anybody I know questions whether Pickens has talent or not. I think everybody agrees that Pickens has lots of talent. It's not a talent issue. So, it's a willingness to play that complete game of football. And we've seen that from other guys, where they're just not willing to play the whole game, and you're taking snaps off or you're not blocking or whatever it is. Relic said, let's be real. The only reason Pickens is doing well in Dallas is because they tolerate his diva bullshit. I think they like his diva bullshit. Mike T wants a grown man who's blue collar culture and team first, not me. And you're exactly right. I mean, I think he fits there in that kind of selfish, shitty Dallas mentality. I mean, that's who they are. They're built to have stars. But, I think stars is relative. Built to have diva mentality, that doesn't mean like stars doesn't mean that you're winning Super Bowls. It means that they put you up on this pedestal and treat you like you're better than other people. And it doesn't really matter whether you perform or not, because look at Dak Prescott, who's a heck of a nice guy.
Yeah. Exactly. And this is not just these Cowboys. This has always been the Cowboys. The first thing I ever learned about the Cowboys, because we played them in Super Bowl 30, and in the lead up to it, I was like 10 years old or something. And I did not know what cocaine was, but I knew that all the Dallas Cowboys were on it. I didn't know what it was, but I knew enough about the Cowboys to know that everyone on the Cowboys was on cocaine.
That's hysterical.
So that should let you know and not that much has changed. Jerry Jones doesn't just like the drama. He cultivates and encourages it. And that's why Pickens, he might have a long career.
Not enough. I mean, look what he did with Micah Parsons. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think that this translates to some long and successful career for Pickens. Do you know what I mean? In Dallas, because, there's only the two dogs, one bone mentality only works if both of them are strong competitors. And you got two guys there that just want the spotlight. So, and I think CD's going to be George Pickens every time.
And they're apparently having bad influence on each other. Apparently they both went out and were caught in the security camera coming back into the hotel. And I just know Pickens. I know if they confront him, they'd be like, hey, you sneak out. It's like, no, he's like, George, we have you on video, man.
Right. Come on. Why are you lying? But, we talked about this when we kept talking when he was in Pittsburgh still about bringing in this wide receiver too. And could we find somebody who could come in and kind of mentor him or be this support person for him? And I said when he went to Dallas that, look, CD Lamb's a hell of a player, but I don't know if he's that guy for Pickens. Is he that guy that's going to teach him, this is how you're going to have a long and successful career in the NFL, right? Because it's not just about raw talent. If it was, Antonio Brown would still be playing, right? You can't act just all about yourself. At some point, you have to find a balance there. Nathan brings up Caleb Johnson. He said, I thought in limited opportunities, he's starting to figure things out. I know he had that face mask penalty, but he runs strong. Warren and him should be the guys in short yardage. What do you think?
I think it's exactly right. I think they early on it was right. He wasn't catching up as fast as maybe the fan base thought he would. I think the coaching was perfectly fine with the level of growth that he had, but the fact that he's getting carries at all means he's figuring it out, and there's something there. there's he doesn't have Warren's jump cut, but he has a jump cut, and I think he's a little faster than Warren when it comes to it. So I'm excited to see what he has. The good thing is we don't need him to do a lot right now. If he ends up doing a lot, then goodness gracious, look what we have. But if not, look what we have for next year.
It's kind of an ideal situation with Gainwell, do you know what I mean? And with Warren doing so well, you're right. I think it gives an opportunity for him to come in on some select plays and be able to kind of build up to it or work up to it or whatever.
Exactly. So I like that everyone on this team seems excited that they have the privilege of playing with the guy next to them. That's what you get off of all these players. And that's something special. So I like that. I like that.
I love that. All right, let's switch gears and talk about the defense before we start talking about Chicago. And I mean, I think we just needed to get it over with and talk about this spitting incident, right? So roll the video and then let's talk about it.
Okay, it's quick, but you can definitely see it. Just in case anyone did not see, I want to and there we go.
You cannot miss it. It's a giant loogie flying through the air. And so, look, I went on like a tirade on Twitter. People were like, okay, Leanne, we didn't know you had this side to you. Because I hate a fucking liar. Like, I hate people who lie, and I hate spitting. Spitting is nasty. I've played a lot of competitive sports. I've spent a lot of time around football. Mike Tomlin was spot on today where he said, that's not something normal that happens in the NFL. I mean, you heard other players speaking out about it. I think even like Chad Johnson said something like, I can't defend that. I mean, you know, other players from other teams speaking about it. It's nasty. Like that's like such a bitch move. You just don't spit on people. And so it made me even angrier that at the end of it all, you let Jalen Ramsey get ejected. Now, look, all bets are off if you spit on me. I'm going to punch you in the face too. So normally I would say like Ramsey should have kept his cool and walked away because your team needs you. But I can certainly understand why he lost his shit and punched him. But you let him get, ejected from the game. And in the locker room afterwards, when they ask you, you're like, I didn't open my mouth. I didn't spit on him. And then the next day you refuse to talk to the media. And the video is out there of you clearly spitting. So you just say, look, I lost it. Do you know what I mean? I shouldn't have done it. It was wrong, and I'm sorry. Because I don't know if you heard Zach Taylor saying he's sure that Jamar will take responsibility for it. That's just something they are not going to tolerate. Well, it's tolerated, and he's not taking responsibility. Relic said he should be fined another $500,000 for lying to the press. I agree. I totally agree. And I had to give you appeal and you're caught on video being a punk bitch spitting on somebody. You should get another game suspension. Like, you're wasting the league's time. I mean, they shouldn't even entertain his appeal.
Exactly. And it's so intentionally on a different level. Like, it's football. So with the Jamar Chase thing, I kind of think back to, for anyone who remembers the Richard Sherman interview right after the NFC Championship where he was hyped up and everyone was like, oh, he's violent, all this stuff. I'm like, you're asking people to take themselves to a literal warrior mindset for a set amount of time on a set place, and then directly afterwards ask them to shut that off. And Jamar Chase and Ramsey was in the middle of a game and a heated game, and Ramsey's heated as it is. So at that point, I'm sorry, what do you expect from him?
Yeah.
And honestly, I genuinely think part of the immediate suspension and how quick they did was the NFL saying, oh, sorry, Pittsburgh, you lost your guy for a game. We're going to at least start to make up for it by doing that.
I think if Jalen had walked away, I still think that Jamar Chase would have gotten a 1-game suspension because somebody else got a game suspension for spitting, and I forget who it was now.
That guy, yeah.
The beginning of the season. I keep wanting to say Micah Parsons, but it wasn't Micah. Nathan said,
wasn't it Jalen Carter?
Yes, Jalen Carter, that's who it was. He said, I think both players should have been ejected because both players were involved and created that moment. And I agree. Like, you cannot punch people and get away with it. If it were the other way around, I would be outraged that somebody punched one of our players. But that ref was right there. I don't believe for a second he didn't see him spit. You know, Vicky brings up a really good point. In light of the recent pandemic, like, what are we thinking? Spitting is unacceptable. You're right. It's gross. I mean, like, you're putting your nasty germs on somebody else's face, hands. I mean, he's out there where he can't go wash his face or wash his hands. Well, I guess in his case, he could because he got ejected, but normally you couldn't. So, I mean, yeah, it's gross. He said Chase did it to get Ramsey out of the game. It was 100% targeting. Should get another game for it. If that's the case, then that's, yeah, I just assumed he kind of lost his cool. But yeah, spitting on the real world, somebody spit on me, it's on. Like,
yeah, there's real life repercussions for that. So yeah, it was such a crazy game, but weirdly enough, in looking back on it, I kind of feel a little bit of pride. I'm like, there was a lot of chaos going on, and other than Ramsey defending himself, we didn't buy into any of it, and we just continued moving forward. The Bengals blew the. Like, how often can the Bengals blow up a game against the Steelers of their own accord?
I don't know.
How often can that happen?
Every minute of it, like, bring it all on. You know, shoot yourselves in the foot. I mean, I'm here for all of it. Relic said, or you could be a freak and lick it, you know, it can be like, what's about to happen to me? I think I would have lost my mind if Jalen Ramsey had just like licked that off his hand or something.
You never know in the middle of
it. When Jamar Chase isn't wrecking games and he's being shut down, he becomes childish. It's true. He had like what, three catches for 30 yards or something in that game. I mean, it was like next to nothing. And so he's frustrated. It is a kind of like George Pickens behavior, you know, where you aren't getting attention or you aren't getting targets or you're not finding success. And so then you get childish and you get angry. We've seen things like that from him before where he gets like irrationally physical or aggressive. And he's already kind of a shit talker, which, look, I respect, right? Like, I respect the trash talking. I think that's a part of the game. You know, I think other players have to learn to deal with that. Some guys are going to talk, some guys aren't. Do you know what I mean? But you can't, you got to keep it like somewhat civilized. It's like rules of engagement for war, right? Like, there's just some things you don't want to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I know it's kind of like what we were talking about with Broderick Jones. Like, you don't want to give too much praise for doing what you're supposed to do at the average level, but at least we came into the game and said, you know what? How about we don't let Jamar Chase catch the ball? Yeah. And we did it, because last game we certainly didn't. No, they did not beat us that way, and goodness, it was fun to see Joe Flacco all over the place, because I've never liked him since Baltimore. So
yeah, it's true. And I think that, you know, one of the things I think that the team did really well this time that we haven't always done well is that when things collapsed around us, when people get injured, when somebody gets ejected, when something like that happens, and we had a lot like of things happen, right? Like, you had Ramsey's ejection, you had Warren's injury, you had Aaron Rodgers' injury, you had things happening, and at no point did the team just like fall apart. You know, it really was like for the first time in a long time, like that Tomlin's next man up mentality. Do you know what I mean? To come back and just keep going and keep advancing the game forward.
Yeah, it was. And James Pierre, I did not know he had that in him. Joey Porter, I don't think he got called for a penalty.
Not one. Not one. He
that is brilliant.
He did a good job. Yeah, it was good.
I think for a defense to be able to take that upon themselves, process what happened, and come up, because anyone can come out angry. But normally when it's just angry, it's unchanneled and all that. No, this was a defense that knew how to go about their business, and everyone was getting a piece of it. And I was very, very excited about that response.
They saw James Pierre come out there, and they thought they were going to be able to take advantage of that. He was targeted 9 times with 5 allowed receptions for just 37 yards and had 2 pass breakups to go along with his touchdown off a fumble recovery. It's not just the numbers, but also the quality that he took away in that game, like what he took away from Cincinnati, not just what he, the stat lines.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And I agree.
Like
JPJ could definitely get it.
Yeah, some kind of little participation trophy. It should look like a little glove for keeping his hands to himself or something like that. Because, that was unusual to see that. We have a video of Duggar, right?
Yes. This is the official welcome to the Steelers moment.
Passes as any in the NFL. 3rd and 9. Sample the block. It's intercepted. It's picked off by Duggar. He's got room to roam. There's a block on the play by Herbig. You can't kiss him goodbye. Touchdown. Pick 6.
That was good stuff. That was good to see. It was good to see him jump right into the action. It was good to see the whole defense be so excited for him. Yeah, I really love that.
The entire season, people have been talking about this defense not living up to what it's supposed to be. And I still don't think it's anywhere close to what it could be if it ran on all cylinders.
Mm-hmm.
But that defense is the kind of defense that, and I know I'm jumping ahead and people are going to jump down my throat, has the potential to beat the Lions, to beat the Bills. It has the potential to keep us in games long enough so maybe the offense gets something going, and if not, score a little bit. Yeah. And that's encouraging to me because a little bit ago on the losses we've had, we did not look like a team that could win in the playoffs. But that defense that we had, that's a playoff winning defense.
Well, the other thing was too, is like they had just come off the field, right? And then you get that interception and then you're going to go right back onto the field, right? And like the first thing we said sitting here on the couch was like, man, they just got off the field. That happened fast. Like that doesn't give your defense much of a break, right? But they bounced right back. Like to me, the offense is doing a good job of putting together some long drives finally, so that the defense is getting some opportunities to rest. And that feels new with Aaron Rodgers. Like Mason was able to maintain that into that, part where he came on with some longer, some sustained drives. But to me, that's new with Aaron Rodgers. That's something we haven't seen really, to me, since Ben left, not on any kind of consistent level.
And I'm so proud of the team because it's, like I said, it was a depth situation in a lot of things, but there's two positions that I don't think get nearly enough love, and they stepped up big because often they're just people just take it for granted. That is backup quarterback and kicker.
Yeah.
And on both parts, I don't know. I wasn't nervous at all when Mason came in. There was no nerves. I'm like, cool, this is why he's here.
Yeah.
Now, if it was Will Howard, I would have felt differently.
Mustache going, and he was dark mode Mason. He was ready to go. This is interesting. Relic says, I know you probably won't agree, but this kind of play makes me mad. Like, congrats to Duggar, but this is what Mike T banks on. I wish the offense made big plays like that more frequently. Just irks me. Okay, Relic, but you're also the same person who's irked when we aren't making those big plays on defense and you're mad at them. And I would argue back that the offense was making some big plays. So just because we aren't like the splashiest offense out there, I mean, you had Jalen Warren's big run. You had Darnell Washington's big run. You had that big catch from Roman Wilson. Like, we had some stuff going on. It might not have been the splashiest offense in the world, but Mike Tomlin's never going to put together splashy offensive teams. I don't.
This actually, all the way back to the beginning of Mike Tomlin's career in Pittsburgh, and actually before when he was with Tampa Bay and all that, he has made his living off big takeaways. If you remember the Americas game where him and I think it's Lawrence are running off the sideline, and he looks at him and he's like, oh, we got a takeaway. He's the Buccaneers got a couple more. And it's always about the next takeaway, the next one. So Mike Tomlin's built his career on getting those big splash takeaway plays. And that's simply the kind of defense we are. Like Andy Reid counts on being trickery and no one really knowing where the ball is going to come from. Everyone has their little caveat in how they run teams, and this is ours.
Yeah. He points out that Roman Wilson was open a lot more than he was targeted, and that's super fair. But don't you think that speaks some to what you were kind of saying about Aaron Rodgers earlier? Do you know what I mean? Just that he was, he just, I don't know, just kind of
He
seemed
was
to
off.
fit some of those things, a little bit off with some of those things this week.
Yeah. And I think we're reaching the point that will define the season about how we react to this, because there's a good chance, even if his injury isn't long-term or anything, that if Mason plays at a just consistent level, we don't have to put Rodgers back in. And that's, I think, a luxury that we have. I don't know if a lot of people remember Peyton Manning's last year that he won a Super Bowl. They managed him like that. He didn't play near the end of the season. Brock Osweiler came in, and Peyton Manning didn't make a big fuss. Even when he was healthy, they didn't put him back in. Playoff run came in, and came Peyton. So,
but think how many times we've made it to the playoffs and our quarterback is hurt or our team is beat up, and then you lose. You know what I mean? That happens not just to us, but to other teams too. You know, you get limp into the playoffs, and yeah, I mean, it's so maybe there is something about that game management other than just like week 18, right? You look at some game management in the long stretch if you feel comfortable with where you are in your division.
Yep, and it is about the division now.
Yeah. I agree with Nathan. He said the game is moving by Rodgers. It's okay. Not everybody can be Brady. I don't think anybody can be Brady. I'm sure someday we'll have some other quarterback that plays at a high level till he's 44. I think that Rodgers is able to do what Rodgers is able to do, right? And if you can build an offense around that, then I think he can be successful. Like, he's accurate. He reads the field well for the most part. I agree with Relic about some stuff this week, but my concern is I don't know that Mason can sustain it for the whole rest of the season, right? Like, we see flashes for Mason in the past, and what has ever happened to make us think he's going to be a different Mason? Relic says he played well enough for the second half. If he continues, we should be okay. Not, we'll see Will Howard. Let Rodgers rest a week. We need to see what we have. Yeah, I don't know.
The biggest problem with that is, and we'll talk about this a little more when we get to Chicago, we're playing 3 straight teams where their defenses are no joke. And if you decide that, Roger or Howard needs to go in, he's going to get eaten alive. Their defensive coordinators come up who would just feast on him. So Mason providing stability, because if Rodgers is out for any amount of time, it's all about protecting the ball, run the ball, get it to Darnell Washington, and defense win the game for us. And that's that. If anyone thinks that we're going to win the games any other way, you don't fully understand this roster.
Let's shift gears and talk some about Chicago. So I think Chicago is a sneaky, weird team, right? Like, I think to myself, like, oh, we're playing Chicago, like, woohoo, right? Then you realize they're 7-3 on the season. They're head of their division. Look, it's not the strongest division in football, and they're not by any means the best team in the NFL right now, but they're sneaky good. And you're right. You talked a little bit about their defense, and I know you did some research on that today. What did you kind of find out?
Oh, I wasn't as scared as I was before, but they're built like us. They live and die by taking the football away. In fact, if you look at the leaders in interceptions in the NFL, number 1, number 2, and number 3 are all Chicago Bears. That I don't know the last time I've heard of that. If it wasn't hockey and it was Penguin players. So yeah, that's saying, and they lead the NFL not just in interceptions, but they also don't turn the ball over. I think they have 6 turnovers on the season. They have plus 16 in takeaways. So they live and die by that. But their win margin is their win margin is less than 5 points a game, though. Mm-hmm. So when they win by a hair, but they only win if they have positive turnover differential. So it's same as us. Way to beat them, take the ball away, and do not let them take the ball from you. It's kind of what our team is built on if it runs correctly. But the thing is, when it rains, it pours with the Chicago defense. If they pick off 1 pass, they're going to pick off 3. Yeah. And I don't know any other way to describe it. It's scarier than I thought it would be.
Yeah. I definitely agree with you. I worry, like you brought up earlier about Will Howard coming in. I'll say this, that I think if their defense is putting stress on our offense, Mason Rudolph is used to being stressed, right? He's used to being in situations where he's thrown some turnovers, where he's losing a game, you know what I mean? And we don't have to worry about managing Mason Rudolph's ego or emotions, right? Like, he's a seasoned veteran, is used to this. with Will Howard, like I worry about putting him in a situation like the Browns have done with Dylan Gabriel, where he, they bizarrely got rid of Joe Flacco. Then they put Dylan Gabriel in there, and then the poor kid is terrible. Now they've benched him for Shador Sanders, who also hasn't looked good. So do you know what I mean? So now you're screwing up both your rookie quarterbacks when you had a guy that is obviously doing well in Cincinnati. So what were you even thinking? Like, you had to know that you just had to get through this season and manage it, right? So I worry about something like that. You see it all the time with these rookie guys. I think Will Howard has a lot of talent, but I understand the idea of wanting to see what you've got, but not at the expense of our season, right? Like it would be different if we were out of the playoff hunt at this point, and well, then might as well see what he can do, right? But we're not. And so if we're managing things till Rodgers is ready to come back, I don't want to ruin a kid that could potentially be our future.
A big thing to understand here is, these are professional NFL players and you expect a certain amount of excellence from them. But this isn't just about momentum being disrupted. Aaron Rodgers has a certain way that he throws to receivers. He has a certain way he likes his route to be run. He's a certain way he likes the ball to be snapped. He's a certain way he likes to be blocked for, and a way that the offensive line has learned how to block for him. The offensive line and some of the receivers, because they're a good football team, have probably learned a little bit about Mason too, because he has a history. They don't know anything about how Howard does that. So if you switch from Rodgers to Mason, and then all of a sudden you switch from Mason to Howard, you're asking not just a quarterback and not just a center, an entire offense to adjust to different playing styles on the fly. That's a lot to ask from an offense that, if you had to pick a weak point out of special teams, defense, and offense, it would be offense. Yeah. And that's just the truth. So while it might be intriguing, and don't get me wrong, I am just as intrigued to see what Will Howard can do. It is fascinating, and he's an exciting kind of player. Not like this.
Yeah. Not right now. Nathan says he had Chicago winning the division in the preseason. The Steelers' front seven must make Caleb Williams run around and hold the ball. He has tendencies to do that. I agree. I think the defense has to really come and put like serious pressure on Caleb Williams, and that's going to be our best bet, because Zach's right. They aren't turning the ball over a lot. So if we're not able to get him to turn the ball over, we need to at least make them miserable. Do you know what I mean? Have him running for his life. I mean, TJ Watt had Joe Flacco in the dirt. We need some more of that. Relic says,
the good thing is,
oh, go ahead.
The Bears are the second best running team in the NFL when it comes to offense, but they're really subpar passing. Yeah. And that could be huge, because if we can use the secondary the way we want to, then Patrick Queen is playing to the level of the money that we pay him. Mm-hmm. And he is ready to shadow Caleb Williams all day. And he's fast as Caleb Williams. So I'm excited to see if we can pull that off.
Yeah, that could be a good matchup. Relic says Nick Herbig is really playing his ass off, and he's making it tough to know who to play more, Highsmith or Herbig. Herbig's having a career season. I really hope we not resign him. We're going to re-sign him. So we'll add the hyphen in there and not let him go. We want him back.
The biggest issue, and Leanne, you know this is just as much as I do, just in the last game, it was noted that for the first time since he started playing, Herbig was not a liability in the run game.
Yeah.
In comparison to Alex Highsmith, who brings an elite level of run stopping. Yeah. And that's kind of like being Casey Hampton. No one ever gives Casey Hampton the credit he deserves for literally taking up multiple players at the same time, and it's thankless. Being a great run stopping linebacker is thankless.
It is.
But Herbig cannot fill those shoes. So I understand that, and I think we will re-sign him, but that's not an Alex Highsmith replacement. Not till Herbig can do what he can do.
I think it's hard, because I think you're right. I think what we're seeing from Herbig is a lot of the splash that you really love from linebackers, and it makes it feel so exciting. You want more, and understandably so, right? Like, I don't want to see the kid go anywhere. I hope we keep him as well, but But you're right. I think if there's a way to keep all three of them, I mean, that's the ideal situation because you have some real opportunities there to, like you said, to be able to cover all your bases and do some unique looks on defense.
And he seems to be an excellent addition to the locker room. He seems to be a very funny human being.
Yeah.
So not only there in the intensity, but he's hilarious as a human being. So I really like that.
We have a video. Do you want to show the video since
Yes.
we're talking about how funny he is?
For anyone who hasn't seen, this is directly after the game and Patrick Queen being interviewed by his locker.
Yeah.
Whatever it may be, you guys understood that. So.
You can ask it, Nick.
Mr. Patrick Queen, Nick Herbert here with All Sports Access Steeler News. How do you feel after today's performance? You were out there running.
Go back to we just got to.
I love it. That stuff to me is so priceless. Like if you can have that camaraderie in your locker room, right? Like that just means like so much. I love it.
That's the kind of stuff I don't remember seeing a lot of in the locker room over the last year and a half or a couple of years even. It's all about fixing things and all this. And I like that while, there's still stuff to fix, they're having that kind of fun. That was legitimate two people playing around like kids. And I really enjoyed seeing that. I laughed every time I watched that video.
We've all had jobs where you're miserable, right? Like it's so much better when you have that job and you have that camaraderie with your coworkers. And at the end of the day, this is a job for these guys, right? And they got to love it. It's a hard job and you got to want to be there to show up. Relic says, I agree with Zach. Highsmith is elite and run stop, but every time Herbig touches the field, he's about a second away from hitting the quarterback, which if TJ's having a rough time getting home, we need more Herbig. I think we need to find a way to get more unique looks in there and keep all three of them involved.
I think people are going to I'm not going to absolutely predict it, but I can see it coming. It's going to be a magical resurgence of TJ Watt. And people are going to say, what did he do differently? And what actually happened was the other phases of the defense around him started to become as dangerous as he was. Not the TJ Watt, but people have to start paying attention because right now, let's be very, very clear. You go out there, number one, you look at 90, and then if anyone else gives you reason to, you look elsewhere. It's slowly starting to not be that way. People have to take notice of Herbig and Patrick Queen and Benton up the middle, and there's more people, and they're eventually not going to be able to chip TJ Watt because if no one saw during the Chargers game, they showed that stat. TJ Watt is chipped 40, 50, more times than the next person. Yeah. He has chipped a lot. So you're going to start to see TJ getting more one-on-one chances, and he's going to feast, and then they're going to have to switch back, and then Highsmith is going to be a pick your poison kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for that to happen because it's been earned.
We saw that early on when Highsmith really first started coming to his own, right? And Minka was doing really well, and we had TJ Watt doing so well. All of a sudden defenses didn't know what to do. They planned for Watt, but now they got Highsmith to handle too, and they hadn't planned for that. So to me, they were able to over the past couple of years kind of figure out schemes to scheme all that out. Yep. And then now all of a sudden we've thrown other wrenches in the works, and I think it's back to the drawing board to try to figure it out a little bit. We're seeing a little bit more of that. Relic said maybe Sawyer on third down so much and Herbig come in.
Well, it depends on the third down. I will say this. He really got schemed into an unfortunate route that wasn't supposed to be the route he was covering. And even on the broadcast, they said, that was a really smart move by Higgins to turn it from one route into another, noticing that Sawyer was on him. So that's honestly, and I'm not a fan of Higgins. I like when he gets hit. But that was a smart move by him to notice that a rookie linebacker was in front of him, and I'm going to be able to get you out of position, and he did. So I don't blame Sawyer for that. But if it's between Sawyer or Herbig in that situation, I would always put Herbig on there. But sometimes it's not that black and white.
Yeah. We saw some of that from Duggar too. I mean, you flip it the other way, with them making some adjustments. We saw Duggar making some adjustments out there too that I thought really had a big impact on what was going on. I just thought it was a well-rounded defense. Like, it's not very many games where you can say like no one had a bad game, like no one had a subpar game. Like, you might not have been playing at like A+ level, but nobody was below average, right? I didn't think. I thought everybody played
They did.
C+ or better.
Yes, there was no liabilities, and I appreciate even more, I didn't see any behavior that wasn't punished. Like situations where I'm like, oh, that was really bad coverage, but at least they didn't pick it up or something into that situation. Everything that happened was just straight up football, and by the end, it was kind of weird. I looked up, I'm like, 34. When did that happen?
Yeah, the score did feel a little, I told you I was nervous for a while, so the score did feel like a little bit of surprise. So one more thing I want to talk about before we go. I think we'd be remiss, like everybody else, if we just didn't bring up like the death of Marshawn Leland. I just think it's so sad. And so, look, check on your people, hug your friends, listen to people when they tell you they're struggling, take them seriously and be kind. You never know what people are going through out there. I mean, watch this man get his first NFL touchdown and the game before their bye week, and then 3 days later he was gone. And I mean, hard for me to wrap my head around like the emotions that go with those high highs to those low lows. And so watching Dallas, I will never be a Cowboys fan, but hard not to root for them last night, when they're all come out in their shirts and, talking about their teammate and stuff. It was really hard. So just hug your people, check on your people, be good to each other.
Exactly. From someone who is diagnosed, medicated, and in therapy, do what is necessary to get help, because getting help is the stronger choice.
I have some personal experience with loss from suicide, and it's tough. And so, just never, nothing is ever that bad that you can't get help or support. So call me if you need to, but you need to call somebody. All right, so let's talk some score predictions about the Bears. What are we thinking?
This is a weird one.
Huh?
This is a weird one for me because I don't know why. I think Caleb Williams is going to be really squirrely in this one and really irritate me. I think we're going to win, but I think he's going to have one of those games where he's going to run a lot or something. But I think we are going to I think we're going to be able to pass on this Bears defense. So I'll say 28-17. That seems like a straight up play. But yeah, weird stat though. The Bears have won 2 games this season, consecutive games, by the exact same score of 25-24.
Did you say 28-17?
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go 23-21 and kind of slide in right between the two of you. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think it's going to be a little bit of a weird game. I think that it's going to be a hard-fought game. It's going to be close. I think the Steelers will pull it out. Interestingly enough, both the Steelers and the Bears have really thrived on home field advantage this year, which is interesting. Maybe for the Steelers, it's a fluke because I don't think we play our best games at home, but they both performed better this year at home than away. So I think the Steelers are favored in this game despite that, but
we'll see. Maybe I don't know what kind of condition the field is in. But maybe the Steelers can bring some soil samples back to show how you're supposed to take care of a field.
Right. They had that field looking so nice, and then Pitt ran all over it that last game. I was like, you had to be kidding me. They rolled out the new sod and then Pitt plays. I mean, it's not Pitt's fault, but
it is so above my pay grade. But there, with $1 billion corporation like the NFL, you have to make sure that your NFL teams are playing on the same fields as your college teams. Like the day before, there has
stadiums where you have 2 NFL teams that play on it, right? Like, how do we not just? It's 2025. Can't we just have a way to replace damaged turf? I mean, there's got to be something, right? Like, got to be something we can do.
I mean,
I don't know what it is.
This isn't the same as like, the Buffalo game with all the snow and everything. That's a weather thing. This is an actual field situation. So goodness, someone figure it out. If a Rooney happens to be switching through YouTube and you land on this, just, tell someone, fix it.
The field has always been an issue though there. I mean, even, do you know what I mean? Even when it's not Pitt playing, like that field just tears up easily. I don't know. Maybe the Rooneys use cheap grass seed or something, because it just feels like that field's always a mess.
I don't know how popular videos to say this, but I think it's a little bit of using the Pittsburgh culture to save some money, because I remember back to Three Rivers, it was, our thing is that's our home field advantage is having a bad field. So we practice on it. And when you come here, you got to deal with it. But now it's a safety issue. So fix it.
Right. Yeah, right. And it also negatively impacts our players. So it's, it's one thing to come down hard on the ground. It's another thing to flipping over divots or whatever. So, all right.
Exactly.
If you joined us tonight, we really appreciate it. Do us a favor, please, and like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. If you didn't catch us with your score prediction, drop us a comment. Let us know how you think the game will go this week. And we will see you all next Tuesday. Here we go.
Leanne and Zach would like to thank you for tuning in to the Steel City Huddle podcast. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss a thing.